With the Super Mario 3D All-Stars pack being announced just under a month ago, it seems like many people have mixed opinions about this release. Obviously, you guys all know I am super here for it. I loved the game, I loved all 3 games. I haven't gotten to play it as much as I've wanted to just because I've been pretty busy, but man, it's just so fun every time I pop it in. However, something that a lot of people were really questioning about the collection was the absence of a couple of games. I mean, hey, if this is supposed to be Mario's 3D All-Stars, then why are games such as Galaxy 2 not here? Well, I already made a video all about Galaxy 2's disappearance, but even a month after the game's initial announcement, I still haven't talked at all about one specific game. One game that a lot of people claim should have been on the pack, but in reality, it just never would have worked. One game that I love a lot, but I don't think is one of 3D Mario's best adventures, despite it being the predecessor to one of my favorite games of all time. That game is Super Mario 3D Land, and today I want to talk about why it wasn't in the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection. What's going on, guys? It's Thomas from the Switch Stop, and if you enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. We're very close to 100k, and I have a huge special coming when we hit that milestone, so make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. So Super Mario 3D Land was Mario's first foray into the third dimension, on a handheld if you don't count Super Mario 64 DS. This game took place on the 3DS, and while it didn't use the 3D gimmick entirely, I mean, there were a couple subsections that used it, but I mean, in the case of a remaster, it could easily have just skipped over those or, you know, fixed them up a bit, so I'm not really going to talk about those in this video. The 3D effect wasn't really used, and the game is still relatively modern, so you would think that a port would be pretty easy. However, it wouldn't be, and that's the first part of this video I want to talk. Just porting this game over would be a challenge. First of all, you have the fact that the 3DS just didn't have a high resolution. Because of the 3DS's main gimmick being the 3D, they essentially had to double in like the screen resolution when going like from side to side, which ended up being that the actual resolution you perceive is not really that high at all. And because of that, Nintendo was able to, you know, put in a lot of textures that just really wouldn't fly when rezzed up to HD. As you can see right here, I've made a entire like concept of what I think 3D Land should look like in the 3D World engine, but obviously this isn't as part of 3D World, this is just like as a port. And as a port, I mean, they'd have to do a lot of work. They'd essentially have to retexture the entire game, which is way too much effort for just the 3D All-Stars collection, which, you know, Nintendo didn't put that much effort into in the first place. On top of that, you have issues such as the bottom screen of the 3DS, features that 3D Land relied on relatively heavily, like Street Pass and Spot Pass or whatever that was called, and overall, that really feels like a game that was designed for a handheld, and porting it over to the Switch, while definitely possible, would not be easy in the straight up port sense. You'd have to kind of remaster it, and then you'd get into the territory of, okay, well, if Super Mario 3D Land is remastered, then why not Super Mario 64, which is one of the greatest games of all time? And that kind of transitions us into our second point, which is 3D Land in reality isn't incredible. It's a really, really good game, and as Mario's first original 3D handheld entry, it's phenomenal. I mean, no one's doubting that. But when you stack it up to the other 3D Marios, I personally just don't really think it holds a candle. In terms of creativity, it was somewhat lacking. I really do feel like this kind of felt like a 3D version of 2D Mario games. And no, before you say it, 3D World did not feel like that because they just used an abundance of different level themes, whereas 3D Land mostly stuck with, oh, this is your grass level, this is your sky level, this is your desert level. There were very few levels that weren't like just extremely linear, and while that's obviously not a bad thing, it doesn't necessarily fit within the collection. When you stack up 3D Land next to games such as Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and even the somewhat linear Super Mario Galaxy, it's just, I mean, there's no comparison there. 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy all have better pretty much everything than 3D Land. Once again, not saying 3D Land is a bad game, it's the predecessor to one of my favorite games of all time. I just don't think it holds a candle because, I mean, well, it didn't really have to. It was made for a handheld. People didn't expect a home console experience, but when you put it in this group with home console games, it will kind of stick out as a sore thumb in my opinion, especially because the games are just so different from each other. And that brings us into our final point. These games just don't gel well together. It would be very jarring to go from an open world game like 64, an open world game like Sunshine, and as I said, a linear but still somewhat open game like Galaxy, to a game like 3D Land where you literally have go from here to here. Normally you just have to go right on the screen. It's very much so a linear, more 2D version of 3D Mario, whereas even even games like Mario Galaxy had galaxies where you're kind of like messing around a bit. You can go, oh, this way, there's a distraction over here, there's a distraction over here. On top of that, just look at how the games are structured when you have to actually get between levels. I think that pretty much says it all. You got Mario Galaxy, which has the Comet Observatory, personally one of my favorite hub worlds in all of gaming, just so fun and so much nostalgia for me there personally. Then you got Isle Delfino, which is probably the objective best hub of the three. It's got such a cohesive vision, such a cohesive world with so much like, you know, so many little touches that make you feel like, hey, this is like an actual living place rather than just, you know, a glorified menu to get between levels. Then you got Super Mario 64's Peach's Castle. This is the one that started it all. You could make the argument that this is the best designed hub, as, I mean, there's just so much new stuff every corner you turn. There's just surprise after surprise after surprise. Then you go to 3D Land, where it essentially is just a straight line. It's not even like Galaxy 2 where there's an occasional fork in the road. It's literally just a straight line. Once again, not a bad thing at all. It just kind of sticks out like a sore thumb when compared to the other 3D Mario games. So whereas we said in a past video, Galaxy 2's omission was kind of shocking, in all honesty, I was never expecting 3D Land to be in this game. A lot of people seem to comment like, oh, you're forgetting about 3D Land. Why do you not think 3D Land is here? Why are you not talking about how 3D Land is missing? Well, it just doesn't really fit in the game, if that just makes sense. Once again, not saying 3D Land is a bad game. I love it, and I've completed it with, you know, all 8 worlds and all 8 special worlds, which is just crazy, by the way, that they added 8 special worlds to that game. Like, I still can't get over that. I love the game, and I loved my time with it. I'd love to see it somehow come back, maybe in a 3D world port, like I have showed in this, you know, HD footage that I made a while back. But unfortunately, I just don't think it really works within the 3D All-Stars collection, so I think it's smart of Nintendo to not include it. Obviously, you know, I'm not going to say I'm glad they didn't include it. If they could include extra content, you know, I don't think anyone would turn that down. But I 100% see why they didn't include it, and it would have been, I feel like, a lot more effort than it was worth. Because as I said in the beginning, it would have to be A, a full-on remaster, B, the gameplay style doesn't really fit at all, and C, the game just isn't really as good as the other 3 titles in the pack. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know down in the comments below. For those of you who have been fans of the channel for a while and are asking for part 3 of my Mario Party video essay, that is coming very, very soon, do not worry. On top of that, I'm recording this on the day Steve from Minecraft just got announced into Smash Bros, so if you want to see our reactions to that, make sure to subscribe to our podcast channel, Nintendo Tonight. It'll be on the screen on the end card. With that out of the way, I'm Thomas from the Switched Up, signing off. Peace.